Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the TMZ Podcast. I'm Charlie Cotton, and today I'm joined by brilliant legal mind, Harvard alum, host of the Last Days podcast, Derek Kaufman.
Nice new threads. I love the shirt.
I know. I'm the number one fan of Last Days podcast, so I had to get myself my own merch.
Every time we post a new episode, Charlie makes sure to get into my DMs and say and send a teary face.
Yeah.
Often saying too soon, regardless of whether the death has happened 20 or 40 years earlier.
Listen, Last Days podcast, you cover like the last days before somebody dies, a celebrity. What celebrity are you hoping to die soon?
Who do I dream about
Yeah.
at night? I was really hoping for something like atomic bomb related with Oppenheimer. I was like, maybe there's some fallout that I could get in on this game, but nothing yet.
Okay, all right.
We might have a Barbie special episode though coming up, so stay tuned for that.
Oh, emergency episode.
We
Barbie.
talked about it last night.
Yes, the lady who died, who was Barbie, Ruth someone.
That's right, Ruth Handler.
You got to cover her, man.
And, Rhea Perlman was the ghost of Ruth Handler in the movie, so why not?
It's topical.
Topical.
It's topical. Okay, onto the TMZ podcast. Today, we're talking about the Riverboat Brawl. Many charges were made against some of the people involved. We're going to talk about Rachel Leviss, previously known as Raquel Leviss.
Rachel's starting to catch on, right? As the name people call her.
Rachel's catching on. She is in Arizona at a spa. But to begin with, we're going to talk about Tory Lanez. He was sentenced to a decade behind bars.
This is stunning news, right? This saga dates back to the COVID days. This was the shooting of Megan Thee Stallion's foot. We've all seen the video where she's limping around with blood on her feet. This was way back, I believe, in July 2020. He was convicted of 3 charges in that case: negligent discharge of a firearm, carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm, and assault with a semi-automatic weapon. That's a big charge. So he was facing really stiff punishment and got it. I think a 10-year prison sentence is hefty, and he was in court pleading with the judge for a second chance. Now, Tory has been outspoken, not really apologetic throughout most of this, really defiant, I would say.
Right.
But it was a different picture in court. Once you've been convicted and you are just at the mercy of the judge sentencing you, that's when you start to say, like, I've learned my lesson. I have a young son. I need to be a better role model. Give me a chance, because his career hangs in the balance. Also, he's Canadian, remember? So deportation is looming. If you're convicted of a serious felony like this and you have it on your record, you're here as a privilege. You're not here as a right, and you can be deported for reasons like that if you commit a crime of moral turpitude, and shooting someone in the foot is not great.
Yeah, that's moral turpitude, all right.
Yeah, it was fascinating. Did you follow the sentencing hearing?
I didn't follow the sentencing hearing so much as, because this case has been there's been stories popping up now and again for the last few years. I'm got to say, when I saw that he had gotten 10 years, I was shocked.
Shocked at how heavy it was,
how heavy it was.
So was his lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, let's listen to the lawyer now, Jose Baez, after Tory's sentencing.
I think the sentence handed down was incredibly harsh. I have seen cases of vehicular homicide and other cases where there's death and the person still gets less than 10 years. In this case, to get a 10-year sentence is extreme, and really just another example of someone being punished for their celebrity status and someone being utilized as to send an example.
This is fascinating to me, because when you think of the term celebrity justice, what do you think about? You think about OJ, right? You think about someone getting treated more favorably by the justice system because of the celebrity they bring into court. OJ's a hugely famous person, and he is exonerated in his criminal case. It sometimes cuts the other way. And I think the way Tory conducted himself was to his detriment. By not being apologetic, by not sort of falling on the sword, he really hurt himself, because Megan Thee Stallion is a massive celebrity in her own right, and he wasn't contrite. He is now sort of apologetic, but I think it really hurt him the way he's behaved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was honestly the telling factor in his sentencing. Like, even if you go to his Twitter profile right now, he's got some tweet pinned to the top of his profile, basically taking zero accountability, saying you're never going to get me. You know what I mean? And so when you that little contrition, I think the judge and everybody responsible wants to send you and others like you a message to basically say you can't get away with this, and if you sort of like fire off a shot and it hits someone, there are going to be ramifications.
Yeah, look, sentencing is complicated. You do want, the judge has a lot of leeway and a lot of discretion, and he may have wanted to send a message that we're not going to tolerate this. I do agree with Jose Baez that this is a pretty stiff sentence for what transpired. She was shot in the foot. It's horrific, and gun violence in this country is horrific. So this case was so high profile that you see a sentence of 10 years typically for injuries that she's now recovered from. You might not see a sentence this stiff, and who knows how much he'll actually serve of this, but I do think it's a strong message that, we don't fire weapons in this country lightly. We've got an epidemic of gun violence, and this is a strong way to tell the public that it will not be tolerated and you'll be punished to the full extent of the law.
I still feel like people who do get killed in different sort of criminal instances, often they don't receive as stiff a penalty as I'm expecting. You're like, damn, you killed that guy. You got like 12 years or less. And here...
manslaughter, sometimes 2 years, 18 months.
And like, the gray... I was going to say graze, but it is an injury on Megan's foot. But like, it is an injury she's recovered from, and she can walk fine, and
Yes, but I'll tell you what was really harmful to Tory. Because in court, a statement was read on Megan's behalf where she said, I couldn't even stand to bear being in the same room with him. I've been so traumatized by this incident. He has been taking no accountability. We really need to send a message. It sounded like she was saying that there were openings for you to make this less worse on yourself, and you didn't do that. And so now you're here being sentenced for a crime that you did commit. You've denied that you even shot me in the foot. This is ridiculous. I've got bullet fragments in my foot. And she really, I think that was powerful for the judge. And I think you would have seen a very different outcome if he had just sort of apologized and fallen on the sword.
That's my takeaway here. Like, apart from like, obviously don't shoot people.
Yeah.
It's just take accountability and you
make it worse.
You'll make it worse if you don't.
So fascinating. Look, we'll see. Jose Baez is defiant. He's a very talented lawyer. He's the guy who got Casey Anthony off, and those facts were very, very rough, and he was able to get her off. Now, so he'll appeal this, and it'll remain to be seen. If he can reverse the conviction, the sentence will fall apart as well, and he'd have to be resentenced. But it's a tall hill to climb to reverse a conviction.
He's going away for a long time, man.
Yeah,
I didn't expect
it's rough.
It's rough for him. 3 white guys have been charged in the Alabama Riverboat Brawl. That crazy viral video that came out this weekend, we're starting to find out who these people are, what they do for a living. We're getting mugshots. And 3 of them are behind bars. Well, at least 3 of them are charged. Richard Roberts is an older guy. He was 48 years old. He is 48 years old. He is behind bars. The other 2 people charged are Alan Todd, 23 years old, Zachary Shipman, 25 years old. They've both been charged but haven't sort of surrendered yet.
Right. And these are 3rd-degree assault charges for those 2 men, which are misdemeanors, I believe. But there is going to be some accountability. There's still investigation as to whether this is a hate crime. We've heard about like sort of the racial element of this because of the optics of the black against white melee that went on. I've watched this video now several times. It's obviously become iconic in some sense. There's very funny moments where the guy throws his hat in the air, the guy swimming. But it is the cut after the humorous moments, if they're sort of humorous, before the actual fighting. It gets pretty horrifically violent after that. Don't you agree? Like I now watch that as like, ow, that is a really violent, horrific melee. When the chair is smashed over the woman who is sort of like defenseless on the ground, I start to see it in a different way. It's like people do need to be maybe held accountable for the aftermath of
this.
The
chair stuff is gnarly. Like,
it's gnarly.
The gnarly stuff is...
And they're still looking for him. They want to speak with that individual. Yeah.
His name is Reggie Gray. He hasn't been charged yet. I mean, presumably he will be, but, they're getting to him. Yeah, I mean, I think because of the somewhat comedic elements, the swimming, the hat toss... Just the fact that this guy is using a metal folding chair like they do in WWE.
Yes.
Because of those facts, you kind of overlook the violence. The violence.
I don't know what happened to that woman, but maybe concussion. I mean, this is a heavy, folding chair that's being smashed over her head. I think it's important that these guys be held accountable, that they investigate fully whether there were racial elements. It sounds like, they were just blocking this riverboat from parking for quite some time, maybe belligerently.
Minutes.
Yeah, 45 minutes is a long time. It sounds like the guard didn't really overreact reach in trying to move the boat so that this riverboat full of people could dock.
That's his job almost, isn't it?
That's his job. So it does look bad, and maybe they're going to sort of investigate, see what was said to determine whether sort of where it ended was a hate crime. Hate crimes are difficult because we usually don't punish people for what's in their mind. We usually punish people for what they actually do. So hate crimes are controversial. But if it's obvious that there was an element of racial bias here in the way they acted, they should be punished. I also think maybe the guy bashing the chair should be punished.
Oh, big time.
And if he's not, I worry what's going to happen to Montgomery. There's already sort of a simmering pot of racial tension. If you don't punish evenly in this instance,
they have to.
I think things could get out of control.
I'm actually surprised that these 3 white guys are charged. And the charges against, say, Reggie Gray, who was the guy wielding the metal chair, I'm surprised he hasn't been charged yet. I would have thought all the charges come out at the same time against both parties, whoever was guilty of,
Yeah, sure. I would think they need to do this in the most careful, even-handed way possible to quell any sort of this is biased in one way or another. It remains to be seen, but right now only those 3 white men who have been charged. So we'll have to see what happens to Reggie, as you said. But this is still developing. It's wild how much of a life it's taken because there's a lot of this stuff. World Star is built on these kind of melees, but this one has captured
as soon as you
the
saw it
attention
though,
of the world.
As soon as you watched it though, you were like, this is going to be a big story.
This is it.
You
saw the hat toss and I was like, this is going to be one.
If you could only have one item and put it in sort of like a shadow box, like a glass case at your house to talk to people about, would it be the metal chair or the hat the guy threw in the air?
It is the hat 10 times out of 10.
Really?
I think the hat will remain as most iconic because it's not as sort of fraught. Like the chair ended up bashing someone and it's sort of an icky thing to have. I think even having a tattoo is sort of, that was the more violent part
because
of melee.
People are getting tattoos of that chair. To remember the time.
I think every fight, boxing match, otherwise, people should now wear a hat and toss it to begin because it has become this sort of rallying cry.
Yeah, it's no longer for graduations where you toss the hat in the
I
air.
agree.
It's for brawls. If you're starting a
brawls.
brawl, that's the signal. You're sending it up. Everybody who sees it has to come running and join the brawl.
I just love how it communicated. Everyone come into this. I need help. It was sort of this clarion call. I loved it.
So good. Okay, on to our final story.
Yes. The most important one, right?
We reserve this for the most important story of the day. Rachel Leviss, the Vanderpump Rules villain, I guess. The one who cheated with Tom Sandoval on Ariana Mannix. She has not signed on to the new season of Vanderpump Rules, which is just... It's
stunning.
It's stunning because this is the biggest reality show in the world right now. It had such a burning bright moment that I've never seen other reality shows have. And now the main person, the only person you need to return is not returning. And in fact, she's in Arizona.
Yes.
She is in Tucson. She's spending $100 and something at a massage spa.
Yeah, she was spotted at Massage Envy in Tucson. She's at the front desk. She's got her hair pulled back. She's ordering a $117 service, asking to charge the card. I mean, we're looking at every detail of this person who, before this whole incident, was a reality star of some note, but now she's one of the most important people that we track every movement of. What do you make of this? I think she's missing her moment. Maybe this is a salary dispute about what she deserves for Vanderpump season 11, which she would be an essential component. But do you think it lends some credence to the idea that she really was traumatized by all of this, that she's not signing on? Because at first I was like, she's full of it. She'll do the show. I mean, she's cashing in. You have to cash in while the iron's hot, and she's not going to be hot for long. I mean, hot as a celebrity, not like a physical person. But
everyone's hot to you for a long time.
Exactly. All of them are way, way ahead of my league.
Yeah, I mean, she worked her way onto Vanderpump Rules. She was not a cast member for a long time, and she desperately wanted to be. She was a fangirl of Tom Sandoval and Tom Schwartz. She weaseled her way onto the show and then became the biggest component of the show, and now she's refusing to come back. So, yes, I think that lends credence to the idea that this shook her. This shook her so badly that, all bets are off now. She's just living her life day to day, trying not to be weighed down by it all.
I agree completely, actually. What I see in Raquel is someone who wanted to be friends with these people who are on television so badly. As you said, she openly, I think this is not like something we're accusing her of, tried to get on the show, tried to insinuate herself in their lives, and did it and became their friends and must have felt at the top of the world when her best friend is Ariana, who she previously knew from the show and wanted to be involved with.
She's sleeping with Ariana's man. That must feel amazing.
God. It's dizzying, right?
Holy
cow, Tom Sandoval's on top of me. I'm on top of Tom, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
It must have been so euphoric in a way. And now for it to all crumble so dramatically, those people hate her. Ariana hates her. Tom is like sort of complicated and loved her, but it obviously wrecked his life in some ways too. I think she's sincerely traumatized by it. I really do. I see someone who's like, this isn't about money. I don't necessarily, if you offered her $10 million, I'm sure she'd take it. But I don't think it's only about money. I think she was actually like really shaken by this.
Having said that, I'm not sure that, say, this video and pictures we got from the Tucson massage envy, I'm not sure that Raquel didn't sort of set this up. She's very put together. The whole thing like just flows the clip. It doesn't seem like a secret sort of like, I don't want her to catch me with my phone out sort of thing. It feels, I don't know if it is or isn't, but I also
You're the king skeptic though. You always think things are set up because look, you're in the field a lot. So you know this world very well and a lot of things can be set up.
I'm not sure that she isn't playing her own game. I'm not sure to what ends, what she's trying to do. But the cast members of Vanderpump Rules, if you think they hate her now, if she doesn't sign on, they're going to hate her a whole lot more because that's the end of their star too.
I think that's right. If she tanks their show by not participating in it, I think there will be more bile hurled in her direction that like, you undid this. You not only came in and threw a firebomb, but now you've walked away from the wreckage. You can't do that. You got to at least come and salvage it and face the consequences of your action. I think you're right. I think it'll curdle even further, but you seem to think she's playing some four-dimensional chess where she's got this sort of like strategy.
But listen, like if you were her and you were like king villain or queen villain, I guess, of a show. I mean, I guess you kind of are on TMZ.
I don't know. Am I a villain?
I guess on TMZ, our TV show.
You're unlikable doofus.
You're the unlikable one that we all tease.
Yeah, you got to shoulder it and come back from vacation and just weather the storm of losing bets to you guys about Barbie.
Do you think that Raquel would want to come back and suffer or have to withstand the scorn from her fellow cast members? Or maybe she's got, a voice in her ear, a publicist or someone saying, you don't need to go back. Your star is going to be fine. The more days that pass and you don't sign on, the more people want to hear from you. So why don't we'll do the Raquel Leviss show.
Yes.
And it'll all be about you in Tucson doing, I don't know. She holds all the cards. No one else on Vanderpump Rules show holds any cards.
That may be what she's being told by advisors, that we could blow this up. We don't need to give your power over to this show and diffuse it over all these nothings. So they're nothing without you. Let's go do our own thing.
They're the two possibilities. They're the two possibilities. Either she is very still kind of sick and affected by everything that happened and so doesn't want any part of it, or she's kind of calculating her next move.
Yes.
It's one or the other.
I think she may be being pushed in that direction, but I think that's a misstep because I think Rachel Leviss makes sense in the context of Vanderpump Rules. I'm not sure she's a towering talent who's ready to take on the world like Oprah. And she may be being fed that we'll get you your own venture.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know about that.
She could easily be the Bachelorette. I could see her be the Bachelorette. Guys throwing, and that makes her star even brighter. Why join Vanderpump Rules anymore? Bingo, bango.
Bongo.
And that's our episode. Thanks for joining us, Derek. We'll see you guys here tomorrow.
See you next time.